Number 1. This is my first time posting on Reddit. I've been content just lurking for quite some time, but I found this thread and figured it would be the right place to share this story. It's bothered me for a long time, and maybe it'll help to write it out. When I was 6, I went on a week-long family reunion at a lodge somewhere. I only have a few vague memories of this, mostly involving candy, like many of my earliest memories. Years later, I had a couple of vivid nightmares about this lodge, and about a man, 60ish, overweight, with bright blue eyes and white hair, that had vacated the top of his head. The most disturbing details of these nightmares are not important. Dreams are very unreliable sources, but I do have one real memory of this vacation that is very clear. I was lying in bed one night, long after my siblings had gone to sleep. I never had trouble sleeping as a child, but this night I was wide awake when I heard something at my window that made me jump out of my skin. I ran to my parents' room, crying hysterically, and pounded on the door so hard my fists hurt. The memory ends there, but years later when I started having the nightmares, I asked my parents about it. That was when I found out that when they had gone to my room that night, they found the screen cut open from the outside and a small ladder leaning against the window. My parents had us sleep in their room, and we left early the next day. What would have happened if I had been able to sleep that night? I think I'd rather not know. Number 2. This is something that happened when I was around 4 or 5 years old, but I still remember it to this day. We used to live in this apartment complex called Northwood Village. I remember it as being fairly decent, quiet, nothing bad really happened there. Needless to say, I wasn't really expecting what happened. The halls in my building were usually empty, so I would often be alone, walking, running, playing, ding-dong ditch, just the usual things that little kids do when they're bored. One day I was walking the halls and I see this guy. I still remember what he looked like. He was white with messy hair, wearing a denim jacket with no shirt and a pair of jeans. He was also barefoot. As I walked closer, I saw that his fly was open, exposing his bare, erect penis. We didn't exchange words, didn't even look at each other. He just breezed right on by me, staring straight ahead. For whatever reason, I didn't find this little encounter creepy until I told my sister about it. She then went on to tell me that she'd also come across this guy sitting in a flight of stairs in a different building. Same clothes, same situation. But this time he was pouring water on his penis while telling my sister it tastes like candy. Thank God, nothing happened to my sister that day, but I'm beginning to get anxious at the thought of what could have happened. I have no idea what happened to that guy, as I never saw him again after my encounter, but I will never forget him. Number 3. So this incident happened to my mum before she had me, over 20 years ago. She worked in a local pub. The pub mainly catered for fishermen, as the town is on the coast of Western Australia, so she knew most of the people who would come in for drinks or a feed. However, every now and again people from town would come in. She told me about this one bloke who used to come in, who she'd known from house parties around the place, and always wanted to talk to her while she was working. She would just say sorry and keep doing her thing. One night she finished work around midnight and walked home, which was a few kilometres away. She lived with a few housemates who were blokes, all good mates. When she got home from her shift, she decided to have a shower. Making her way back to her room, she realised her door was open, which is normally shut. All the fellas were asleep, so she blew it off as wind or something. She laid down on the bed to go to sleep, but something didn't feel right, and for reasons she can't explain to me, she felt the need to look under the bed. What she saw under the bed was the bloke from the bar who had followed her all the way from work. She tells me that she just stared at him for ages and he didn't move, not even breathe, to the point that she thought he was dead. She went out of the room calmly and went to one of the guys' rooms to tell him that she had a dead bloke under her bed. They raced him with baseball bats to find the guy halfway out the window. He managed to escape and run away. The police were called, and because they all knew who he was, the cops picked him up the next day. The thing that bothers me the most is what his intentions were with my mum that night. Asshole got a fine and was never allowed back in town. Too soft, in my opinion. Number 4. My wife had gone shopping for the day, and so I was in the basement doing some woodworking. I heard her car pull in, and so I headed up the stairs to help her with her stuff. She ran into the house saying someone was after her. I got pissed. People tend not to mess with me. Important to the story. I'm 6'1" and 260 pounds. I used to be a power lifter and work at a sawmill. In my wife's words, I'm somewhere between a bear and a mountain man. We also have a Great Pyrenees who happened to be inside with me at the time. For those of you who aren't familiar with Pyrenees, they're great dogs. They're a guard breed, originally from France. Ours is 140 pounds of muscular guard dog. They are the sweetest dogs, great with kids, unless you threaten their people. Then they get nasty mean. For example, we have coyotes here. We also have a 16-pound mutt, my wife's dog. One day 2 coyotes attacked the little dog in the yard and the Pyrenees killed them both. Back to the story. I'm pissed, so the dudes busted up in my house assuming she was all alone since my truck was in the shop. He wasn't expecting me or the Pyrenees. The big dog charged him, all 140 pounds of big dog, grabbed the intruder by the arm and dragged him top to the ground. I grabbed the dude by the throat and told my wife to call the cops. I got to spend about 15 minutes threatening to kill this man if he moved. The Pyrenees never let go of his arm. Cops showed up, took my statement and hers, and the bad guy went to prison. Seems this fool had followed my wife from the store. It's about a 30-minute drive, and she tried to lose him twice, after making some passes at her, but she said she knew if she could get home, she would be safe. So, asshole wannabe creeper rapist, let's not meet again. Unless you wanna die.